Have you ever noticed how the moments you worry the most are the moments you move the least? I used to believe worry was proof that I cared, that if I stayed up late enough replaying every mistake and rehearsing every possible failure, somehow I could protect myself from pain. But worry doesn't guard your dreams. It cages them. It whispers that you are running out of time, that everyone else has a map you never received, that one wrong step will cost you everything. And if you listen long enough, you start shrinking your life to fit inside that fear. The truth is, winning doesn't begin when life gets quieter. It begins the moment you decide your mind deserves peace more than panic. There is a version of you on the other side of this constant overthinking, someone who moves with clarity, who trusts their instincts, who knows that growth is loud only when you're resisting it. When you stop worrying, you don't become careless, you become courageous. You learn that failure is not a verdict, it's feedback, and that confidence isn't about never falling apart, it's about knowing you can rebuild faster every time. Today isn't about pretending everything is easy, it's about choosing progress over paralysis. It's about understanding that the energy you spend fearing tomorrow can be transformed into fuel that changes it. The moment you stop negotiating with doubt is the moment momentum finds you. And once you taste that freedom, once you feel what it's like to act without apologizing for your ambition, you don't just survive anymore. You start winning deliberately, unapologetically, and on your own terms. Worry is a thief that doesn't break in loudly. It slips through the cracks of your thoughts and rearranges your priorities without asking. It convinces you that replaying the past and predicting the future is the same as preparing, but preparation rooted in fear never produces clarity. It only fragments your attention. When your mind is busy worrying, it is divided, and a divided mind cannot move with strength. You may still be breathing, still showing up, still trying, but your focus is scattered across 100 imagined disasters that haven't even happened yet. That's how worry wins. Not by stopping you outright, but by draining the power from every step you take. Focus is not just attention, it is energy with direction. And worry steals that direction. It pulls your eyes away from what is in front of you and chains them to what might go wrong. You start living in reaction instead of intention, responding to fear instead of responding to purpose. That's when effort feels exhausting and progress feels slow. It's not because you're incapable, it's because your energy is leaking into places that don't deserve it. Worry demands everything and gives nothing back. Intention, on the other hand, is a quiet decision that changes everything. It doesn't shout, it doesn't panic, it chooses. Intention says, this is where my energy goes, even if I'm scared, even if I don't have proof yet, even if the outcome is uncertain. When you act with intention, your mind stops running in circles and starts moving forward. You may still feel fear, but fear no longer holds the steering wheel. Intention gives your thoughts a destination, and suddenly your actions begin to align instead of collide. There is power in deciding what deserves your focus. Power in saying, I will not waste today rehearsing a tomorrow I cannot control. Power in choosing to be present, purposeful, and precise with your energy. Intention turns effort into momentum because it removes hesitation. You stop asking, what if it fails? And start asking, what is my next right step? That shift alone can transform an ordinary moment into a turning point. When intention leads, worry loses its grip. You realize that focus is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters with your whole heart. Attention sharpens your vision. It teaches you that winning isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about committing fully to the direction you choose. And once your energy is no longer scattered, once your focus is anchored in purpose, you feel it, strength returning, confidence rebuilding, clarity settling in. This is how power is created, not by eliminating fear, but by refusing to let fear decide. When you choose intention over worry, you reclaim your focus. And when your focus is whole, your power becomes undeniable. Confidence is often mistaken for something you either have or you don't, like a gift handed out to a lucky few. But real confidence is built the same way trust is built, through repeated experiences that prove to you over and over again that you can be relied on. Reassurance feels good in the moment. It sounds like applause, like compliments, like someone telling you that you're doing great and everything will work out, but reassurance fades quickly. The moment the room goes quiet, the doubt creeps back in. because nothing within you has changed yet. Confidence doesn't come from being told you're capable, it comes from watching yourself act anyway. Action is the language confidence understands. Every time you move despite uncertainty, you send yourself a message more powerful than praise. I can handle this. Even when the outcome isn't perfect, action teaches you something reassurance never can. It shows you that survival doesn't depend on perfection. You learn that mistakes don't erase your worth, they expand your wisdom. Confidence grows in the space where courage meets consistency, not where comfort lives. Waiting to feel confident before you act is like waiting for the storm to pass before learning how to swim. Life doesn't pause to make you comfortable, it moves with or without your permission. And the people who seem the most confident are often the ones who were willing to be seen before they felt ready. They took shaky steps in public. They risked being misunderstood. They let themselves be beginners. That willingness to move while uncertain is what separates growth from stagnation. Reassurance can become a trap when it replaces responsibility. If you need constant validation to move forward, you give your power away to the opinions of others. Confidence built this way is fragile. It rises and falls with applause, approval, and external feedback. But confidence built through action is rooted internally. It doesn't disappear when no one is watching. It stays with you in quiet rooms, difficult conversations, and moments when the outcome is unclear. Each action you take becomes evidence. Evidence that you can learn. Evidence that you can recover. Evidence that you can adapt. Over time, these small proofs stack up, and suddenly confidence no longer feels like something you're chasing. It feels like something you're standing on. You trust yourself because you've seen yourself show up before. This is the deeper lesson. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It's steady. It's earned. It's the calm that comes from knowing you don't need permission to begin. When you stop waiting for reassurance and start choosing action, you don't just build confidence, you become it. Fear is persuasive because it speaks in your own voice. It knows your memories, your past disappointments, the moments you wish you could rewrite. It doesn't scream danger, it gently suggests hesitation, asks you to wait, to be careful, to stay where it's familiar. And if you're not listening closely, fear can sound a lot like wisdom. But fear is not the absence of courage, it is the presence of uncertainty without direction. It grows loud when your purpose is quiet, and it fades when meaning steps forward. Purpose gives fear competition. When you know why you're moving, fear loses its authority to stop you. It may still exist, but it no longer controls the pace. A life without purpose magnifies fear because every decision feels risky when there is no reason guiding it. But when purpose is clear, risk becomes intentional. You stop asking, what if this goes wrong? And start asking, what happens if I don't try at all? That question changes everything. Fear thrives in vagueness. It loves unclear goals and undefined dreams because they give it room to imagine failure in every direction. Purpose, however, sharpens your focus. It gives your effort a direction and your pain a meaning. When your actions are aligned with something larger than comfort, fear becomes background noise instead of the main voice in your head. You don't move because you're fearless, you move because stopping would cost you more. Purpose also reframes struggle. What once felt like evidence that you're not good enough begins to feel like proof that you're growing. Fear tells you resistance means you're on the wrong path. Purpose reminds you that resistance often appears right before transformation. Growth stretches you, and fear is simply the sensation of that stretch. When your why is strong, the discomfort becomes tolerable, even necessary. There comes a moment when purpose speaks louder than fear ever could. It happens quietly. Usually after you've been afraid for a long time, you realize that fear has been predicting your limits, but purpose reveals your capacity. You understand that courage is not the absence of fear, it is loyalty to meaning. You stay committed even when doubt shows up uninvited. This is how fear fades, not by force, not by denial, but by replacement. Purpose doesn't fight fear. It outgrows it. When your reason for moving forward becomes undeniable, fear loses its influence. You don't wait for it to disappear. You walk with it, past it, and eventually beyond it. And in that movement, you discover that purpose has always been the louder voice. You just had to listen. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, as a hard edge that cuts joy out of life. But real discipline isn't punishment, it's devotion. It's the quiet promise you keep when no one is watching, the decision to show up again, even when the excitement fades. Dreams don't disappear because they weren't powerful enough. They fade because they were left unattended. Discipline is what keeps them alive on ordinary days when motivation sleeps and doubt tries to negotiate. Big dreams feel intoxicating in the beginning. They arrive with adrenaline, with vision, with a rush of possibility, but inspiration is temporary. It comes and goes like a season. Discipline is what stays. It turns ambition into behavior. It translates what you want into what you do. Wow. Without discipline, dreams remain ideas you admire from a distance. With it, they become habits that slowly reshape your life. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's choosing progress over intensity. You don't need grand gestures every day. You need repeatable actions that move you forward inch by inch. This is how dreams become sustainable. Discipline teaches you that winning is rarely loud. It's built in quiet rooms, early mornings, and moments where no one applauds your effort. And yet these moments compound into outcomes that look effortless from the outside. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. Days when quitting sounds reasonable, when comfort calls louder than commitment. This is where discipline reveals its true value. It anchors you when emotions fluctuate. Motivation asks how you feel. Discipline asks who you're becoming. One is temporary, the other is transformational. Daily wins may seem insignificant at first. A small task completed. A promise honored, a step taken despite resistance. But these wins stack. They build identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, and that identity becomes powerful. When you trust yourself to do what you said you would do, confidence deepens, momentum builds, and the dream no longer feels distant. It feels inevitable. Discipline doesn't steal freedom, it creates it. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency and the regret of unfinished intentions. It gives your dreams structure, and structure allows them to grow. When discipline leads your days, success stops being an accident and starts becoming a pattern. This is how dreams turn into daily wins, not through waiting for the perfect moment, but through honoring the small commitments that shape big results. Discipline is not the enemy of joy, it is the pathway that leads you to it. Self-trust is the quiet agreement you make with yourself long before anyone else believes in you. It's the inner yes that doesn't need witnesses, the steady voice that stays when applause fades and opinions change. Without self-trust, success feels borrowed, temporary, fragile, always at risk of being taken away. But when you trust yourself, success becomes rooted. It grows from the inside out, anchored in knowing who you are and what you can endure. Many people look for certainty before they move, but certainty is built through self-trust, not the other way around. You don't trust yourself because everything is clear. You trust yourself because you believe you can handle whatever becomes unclear. That belief is powerful. It allows you to take steps without guarantees, to choose paths that don't come with instructions, to keep going even when results take longer than expected. Self-trust is forged through honesty. Every time you listen to your instincts instead of silencing them to please others, you strengthen it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, especially a small one, you reinforce it. And every time you survive disappointment without abandoning yourself, it deepens. Self-trust grows when you stop asking everyone else for permission to be who you already are. Doubt often disguises itself as logic. It asks you to wait, to reconsider, to play it safe. But self-trust recognizes the difference between caution and fear. It doesn't mean you rush blindly. It means you move with alignment. You understand your values, your limits, your resilience. You Know that even if you make the wrong choice, you will learn, adjust, and recover. That knowledge removes paralysis. It gives you momentum. When self-trust is missing, success feels loud but hollow. Achievements don't satisfy because you don't believe you earned them. You attribute wins to luck and losses to personal failure. But when self-trust is present, both success and setbacks become teachers. You take responsibility without self-punishment. You celebrate progress without arrogance. You stay grounded. Self-trust also protects you from comparison. When you trust your path, other people's timelines stop distracting you. You stop measuring your worth against outcomes that were never meant for you. You move at your own pace with intention, with patience. That steadiness is rare and it's magnetic. This is the foundation success stands on. Not perfection, not approval, but the belief that you are capable of navigating your own life. When you trust yourself, decisions become clearer, risks feel calculated, and growth becomes sustainable. You don't crumble under pressure because your confidence isn't dependent on circumstances. Success built on self-trust lasts. It evolves, it belongs to you. And once you stop outsourcing belief and start standing firmly in your own knowing, you realize this truth: the most important supporter you will ever have has been with you all along. Momentum doesn't arrive with a countdown or a perfect set of conditions. It begins quietly, almost invisibly, the moment you stop explaining why you can't and start honoring why you should. Excuses feel safe because they protect you from disappointment, but they also protect you from progress. They sound reasonable, responsible, even logical, yet every excuse delays the life that's waiting on the other side of action. Momentum is born the instant you choose movement over justification. Excuses drain energy before effort even begins. They keep you negotiating with your own potential, asking for permission from fear, timing, and circumstances that will never be fully ready. The truth is, there will always be a reason to wait. There will always be uncertainty, risk, and discomfort. Momentum doesn't require certainty, it requires commitment. It asks for one step, not the entire journey. When excuses end, clarity starts. You stop debating and begin doing. And in that doing, something shifts. Confidence increases, focus sharpens. You realize that action simplifies what overthinking complicates. Momentum builds not because the task gets easier, but because your resistance weakens. Each step forward quiets the voice that once told you to stop. Momentum feeds on consistency, not intensity. Small actions taken daily outperform rare bursts of effort. This is how progress becomes sustainable. When you remove excuses, you remove friction. You no longer wait to feel ready, you become ready by moving. Momentum teaches you that capability is revealed through action, not contemplation. There will be days when excuses try to return, wearing new disguises. They may call themselves rest, realism, or responsibility, and sometimes rest is necessary, but momentum knows the difference between recovery and avoidance. It is honest. It asks you to check your intention. Are you pausing to refuel, or are you stalling to stay comfortable? That awareness is powerful. Momentum also reshapes identity. When you consistently choose action, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity becomes self-reinforcing. You act because it's who you are, not because you're forcing yourself. The cycle shifts from effort to alignment. This is the turning point. When excuses lose their authority, momentum takes its place. You stop waiting for permission and start creating evidence. Evidence that you can begin. Evidence that you can continue. Evidence that progress is possible. Momentum isn't magic. It's earned. It starts with a decision so small it feels insignificant, but so honest it changes everything. And once it starts, it carries you forward, not because the road is easy, but because you finally stop standing still. You didn't come this far just to understand these ideas. You came to become them. Every truth shared here points back to one powerful realization. Your life changes the moment you stop letting worry, fear, and excuses lead the conversation. Focus returns when intention takes control. Confidence grows when action replaces reassurance. Fear softens when purpose speaks louder. Dreams move closer when discipline becomes daily. Success lasts when it's built on self-trust. And momentum begins the instant you decide to move without waiting for perfect conditions. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before doubt taught you to hesitate. You already carry everything you need to win. You've just been asked to believe it through your choices, not just your thoughts. Growth doesn't require permission. It requires commitment, and the smallest decision you make today can become the turning point you talk about tomorrow. As you leave this moment, remember this: worry has never protected your future, but courage has always created it. Choose intention when your mind feels crowded. Choose action when confidence feels distant. Choose discipline when motivation fades. Choose yourself, especially when it's uncomfortable. Winning isn't loud and it isn't instant, but it is inevitable when you keep showing up. Good luck on the path you're brave enough to walk. Thank you for listening, for believing, and for being willing to rise. Your next step matters more than you know, and it starts now.